I just still don't know. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in this Baltimore offense
Mm,
and
that's fair.
just in the past 24 hours. And
Mm.
I'm, I, I'm like, I'm painfully clueless
Well,
on what's going to happen here.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bud? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bud? Can I
welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for dynasty domination. We're happy to see all of you back here. How's it going over there, Dan?
Hey, I'm doing great, dude. Waving the wheat here in Kansas, just chilling.
Good,
How about
good.
you?
That is what we like to hear, and I am good. Sorry to step on you a little bit there, the timing delay and such. So yeah, we are back. Today we're going to be getting into the 2021 draft class, but more specifically, got a little bit of a mock situation going, but I'm going to allow Dan to kind of explain the actual nitty-gritty of the rules and letting us get into it here.
Okay, so yeah, you guys were with us last week when we did the 2020 class. Now we're getting the 2021 class. We're each going to pick a couple of players and get a little bit into what we're expecting out of their third year in the NFL, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And since we have a pretty solid track record on these players, for the most part, we're going to enter into a little RDR first. We're going to redraft the class, and we're just going to do like, I think we're going to do a quick 2 round 10 player, and it's going to be super casual, but it's going to be fun just to look back and compare to what the the original draft capital was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I really struggled with my errors in prospecting in this class in particular, so hopefully you guys take it easy on me.
It'll be all right, man. It was a weird one. It was a very strange class. I'm trying to think. I just didn't really have any picks in the front half of that one. I must not have because I don't remember who I took. But yeah, so getting into it, I'm gonna start with my guys. I went two running backs here. Just a little spoiler alert. It is that is my position that I love. So I'm gonna get into the first guy here. He's a very popular name this offseason, and that is Mr. Ramondre Stevenson. New England Patriots running back, just completely took over in 2022. He was the RB 47 in 2021, and he jumped all the way up to the RB 7 this past season. Oh, and by the way, that's according to Pro Football Reference. He only started 7 games, started
Yikes.
them. So like that, he's the seventh overall RB, only starting 7 games. So you got to know how crazy of a season he had. But honestly, in talking about what we think they're going to be able to do in their third year, I think the sky is the limit for Ramondre. Because if you look at his numbers, as long as New England uses him as a top guy, which obviously New England has a rough track record of doing that, but if they use him, Stevenson was the RB 7 last year, and he only had 5 touchdowns. He only had five, and he only had five in 2021 with significantly less usage. So, like, this dude's got a nose for the end zone on a team that wasn't scoring that often. So, if New England can start scoring a little bit, get the balls going, get the ball rolling, and instead of being 17th in points and 26th in yards, there's a massive opportunity for Ramondre Stevenson to see double-digit rushing touchdowns this season. Legitimately. Like, now, do I think the Patriots are going to be necessarily that good? Maybe not, but Ramondre is going to be starting from day one now. So he should get all the opportunity. So any improvement that New England has, he's obviously going to benefit from it. And he already had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. And you may be asking, well, hey, if he only had 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns, how is he the RB 7? That's because the dude's an incredible receiving back, and none of us knew it. it doesn't make any sense. And myself included, and like a bunch of people on the internet keep talking about how New England needs to look for their next James White and their pass catching running back. And I'm trying to pound the table saying that it's going to be Pierre Strong. But then you look, and Ramondre Stevenson's already got that job locked up all on his own. 88 targets last season, 69 receptions, 420 yards, and only 1 touchdown. So now there's another chance for him to explode in extra touchdowns. 1 touchdown on 88 targets is not very efficient. So if we can increase Ramondre's touchdown percentage and his production, man, this kid could absolutely light it up. Now, obviously, again, New England's a scary place for running backs. We all know this, but he's earned it. And there, to me, there's no reason to think he's not at least going to get 10 on the ground and maybe 4 to 5 through the air. That seems more reasonable for a guy starting all 17 games this season.
I'll take it, man. Not going to be shy about it. Definitely got a Ramondre on the roster. And, I enjoyed his success, but I guess I never really looked at the hard facts, 5 on the ground, 1 through the air. He left a lot of meat on the bone, man, especially with Damian Harris out of there. Ooh, wee.
Yep.
And, spoiler, unspoiler, I don't know what this is called. A little look under the hood, but I had almost done Mac Jones this week. And actually I got pretty deep on Mac Jones before I pivoted off of him. And I think that he's going to make some improvements that are going to equal Ramondre Stevenson's success in a big way. A lot of us in America have to watch every Patriots game and every Cowboys game and all this stuff. And I remember so many painfully inaccurate dump offs from Mac Jones to Ramondre Stevenson, that like the potential for some of that to get cleaned up and Ramondre to just hit top 3 RBs is so much. It's already there, you know what I mean? Just continue what you did last year with a little more efficiency, a little more end zone, and it's bam, sky's the limit, dude. I like that. I have to use that more often. But all right. I guess we'll bounce it over to me. I'm gonna go with Kyle Pitts, man. Oof. So we got a tight end coming at you. And Kyle Pitts, he was I think he was taken in our draft at the 102.
Yeah, I think it was 102.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up.
And that was pretty exciting. Yeah, it's definitely the 102. And he did pretty well that rookie year. I mean, he finishes the tight end 6, so it's whatever. He still has a pretty high keep trade cut value of like an early first. So
yeah,
you're not necessarily losing out on that. And he's coming in projected to be the tight end 6 this year too. So let's see what he can do. But a few things about Kyle Pitts. I think we're all pretty familiar with most of the players we're going to be talking about this week. This is a fun class. You're either in or you're out in this class. And so we're talking about guys that are in, and Kyle Pitts fits that 100%. You can look at over the past 5 years. There's only been 12 tight end seasons over 1,000 yards. 5 of those were Travis Kelce, 2 were Kittle, 2 were Waller. There was an Ertz in there, and Andrews, and then the rookie Kyle Pitts. So come on, man. If you're doing that your rookie year, and you're doing it in a huge way. He had 15 yards per catch in that rookie year, and that's over a sample size of 68 catches. So that's 4th best amongst rookie tight ends over the last 10 years. And the guys that were ahead of him had like 35 or fewer targets. So the fact that he did that in a season long, like heavy workload is pretty incredible. And so I'm looking at just basically how historic that rookie year of 1,000 yards was. And really over the past 10 years, the number 2 guy to him in that kind of success was Evan Ingram with the 722-yard rookie year. And other than that, there's only 8 rookies that had over 500 yards. So for him to have 1,000, like this is insane. This is insane is what I'm telling you. And I'm gonna focus on that Evan Ingram rookie year because
Mm-hmm.
this is really going to morph into what I'm seeing for Kyle Pitts. So Evan Ingram that rookie year, he had more targets and four fewer catches, but he ended up with 6 touchdowns. Where Kyle Pitts that rookie year only had 1 touchdown,
Jeez.
and yeah, it was kind of a sad deal. Especially you look at Evan Ingram's situation; he only had 9% of his team's red zone targets. That's 7 with only, but he had 4 catches for 3 touchdowns, right? So he was playing with OBJ and Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard. Those guys
Mm.
were all getting targeted over him in the red zone. And so that makes sense. But if you compare that to Kyle Pitts' rookie year, he led the team with 18% of the red zone work, and that's 14 targets, but still only matched that 4 catches, same as Evan Ingram. And only
Mm-hmm.
one of those turned into a
Dang.
touchdown. And if you think about it, it's because he was getting smothered in the red
Mm-hmm.
zone because that team had nothing else to offer. It was a 5 game season for Calvin Ridley, and like Cordero Patterson's rebirth was the only other thing going on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at um, basically, there's nothing for the defense to focus on except for Kyle Pitts in that situation. And so he still succeeded in a huge way, just not in the red zone. Now you're looking at 2 years later. He's got Bijan Robinson, offensive rookie of the year. That's what they call him, and Drake London coming off of an 85 receiving grade of a rookie year, like solid stuff. Um, and I think that basically the door is wide open for Kyle Pitts. Um, he took a target share of 20% in that rookie year and upped it in the games that he played last year up to 27% on the target share. So
Damn.
his work is very consistent, and his A dot last year was 11.2, and so that's number one amongst all tight ends that had over 25 targets. So the guy is insane. We all know who he is. He's like a 4'5", 46'6" guy. That's 250. He's insane. He's like a football god. And so if you put him on a team with other extremely talented skill position players, which is what they've done in Atlanta, all of a sudden the defense doesn't know what to do. And Kyle Pitts, it's going to come in and just wreck this. He's going to wreck everything, man. I do think there's some iffiness because we didn't see him play at all with Desmond Ritter last year. He was injured for the
Mm.
second half of the year when Ritter was getting his play.
Mm-hmm.
There is a slight concern that the success that Pitts was having with Marcus Mariota might be a little off when you're looking at the average depth of target between him and Desmond Ritter. It goes from 10.5 to 8.4. So
Mm.
Ritter's a little kind of, he wasn't really airing it out. It's more safety type stuff. And, Kyle Pitts was lined up. He was outside. He wasn't really playing in line at all in
Mm.
the slot for about 45% rookie year and last year. So we're going to need to see him get a little healthier on the deep targets to kind of get the most out of Kyle Pitts. But other than that, people are saying, obviously they had the most rushing attempts and the fewest passing attempts. Maybe the Bears had like one more rushing attempt than them, but they were right there in that realm. I think that that's still safe. They're around 400 pass attempts. And if he holds down that 25% target share, which I don't think there's really a threat to him losing, that's still 100 targets. So you up the red zone usage. What I'm saying is projected tight end 6. I think they're a little conservative. I think that
Damn.
he has all the potential to go above and beyond that, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you're talking about, 1,000 yards for a tight end as a rookie is just insane. He's absolutely been dominating the target share down there. Just hasn't really worked yet. And like you mentioned on the yards per attempt, yeah, it was lower for Desmond Ritter, but that was also he came in halfway through the season and just kind of played a few games. Like it's not crazy that now he's been sitting there. They might want to see what they have and kind of air it out more. And now again, you have the running game to open up the receiving game, and not like they didn't have the running game last season, but Bijan is a much scarier threat than Tyler Algier, and I think it'll be much more respected. And if they can get that going, that play action is going to serve Desmond Ritter really well. And like you're saying, Kyle Pitts should just be able to dominate there. So don't get out on him. I mean, people were banging the table for Evan Ingram after his rookie season for like 5 years in a row. So like, just stay on it. Kyle Pitts is 22, guys. Just chill. He'll
Yeah,
be fine.
for
Um,
sure.
speaking of guys that I think the world should chill on, Najee Harris is my next guy. Pittsburgh's running back. Right now, his ADP on Fantasy Pros is 37. Makes him the RB12, which is actually higher than I thought it would, given the uh, kind of air around Najee Harris right now. He didn't have as good of a year last year as everybody wanted to, coming off his rookie season where he was the RB3. But even though it was a bad year, he was still the RB14, so just out of that RB1 territory. And a lot of people wanted to dump all over him for his efficiency. His yards per carry wasn't amazing last year. It was 3.8, but it was 3.9 the year before, and he was the RB3. So what happened? So we need to kind of look at. I wanted to break down and see kind of like exactly what happened, because it's easy to be like, oh yeah, Pittsburgh wasn't that efficient, yada yada yada. There weren't many people for to distract from Najee, so it was easy for defenses to break it down. Okay, that's easy to say, but let's look at these numbers, and it kind of does speak to that. The offensive line for the Steelers hasn't been great since Najee showed up there. In his first year, 2021, when he was the RB3, the Steelers, Najee Harris was averaging 1.7 yards before contact. So less than 2 yards before he was getting hit immediately. And he had the 27th graded run blocking offensive line. In 2022, the yards before contact went up just a little bit to 2.1 yards before contact. And they had the 16th graded offensive line. Now, that 2.1 number, although it went up, it still made Najee Harris 40th in the league for that number. So he's just not getting a lot of time before he's automatically getting wrapped up. And that speaks to kind of the Pittsburgh offense we saw. This kind of dink and dunk, not very stretching the field, very, very methodically trying to move the ball down the field, easy to swarm on, easy to scoop up. Najee didn't have a lot of room. And you can also see that when you look at his yards after contact per attempt, because that has gone down as well. In 2021, he had 2.2 yards after contact per attempt with 30 broken tackles. That was 2021. Sorry. In 2022, he had 1.7 yards after contact per attempt. So it went down, and only 21 broken tackles, which is just not like what we're used to seeing from Najee. And that kind of also speaks to the injury he suffered in the beginning of the year. That could have had a lot to play with it. But for instance, those numbers compared to his last season at Alabama, he was at 3.8 yards after contact per attempt, and he had 69 forced missed tackles. So obviously, we're talking college to the pros. Najee, we all kind of knew one of Najee's drawbacks is he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the most elusive. He's just kind of an efficient runner that's a dual threat, can get everything done. So yeah, expecting those numbers to fall makes sense, but expecting them to be cut in half, not so much. So I kind of attribute a lot of this to the Steelers' overall lack of offensive success. We know how they've been the last couple of seasons. They've been fairly anemic. In 2022, they were 26th in points for and 23rd in yards. In 2021, they were 21st in points for and 23rd in yards. With this lack of overall offensive production, Najee Harris still had 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns last season. So he was still getting the job done when he was called upon. They just didn't do a lot. And PFF even acknowledges that Najee Harris did a pretty good job last season, giving him a grade of 75.2 in his rushing. So he had a pretty good grade. It's not that he was necessarily not running the ball well. It's just kind of the offense. And I expect that to be fixed. I mean, you have George Pickens looking like an alpha receiver out there. Now Deontay Johnson kind of falls into that possession role, which makes a lot more sense. Instead of like the wide receiver one guy, Pratt Firemouth over the middle, Kenny Pickett with 1 year longer looking very more confident. We saw Kenny Pickett's ability to play under pressure last season. Like, I think he can play in this league. Can he be a superstar? Maybe not, but he can get these guys the ball. With that offense overall just being better, I think that opens up a lot of area for Najee to kind of get in and do his work. And the other thing that may be like the most important thing that nobody's really talking about is they just completely almost erased Najee Harris in the receiving game last season for no reason. It made zero sense. In 2021, Najee Harris had 94 targets with 74 receptions, 467 yards, and 3 touchdowns. In 2021, he had 53 targets with 41 catches and 229 yards and still 3 touchdowns. So he still managed to score 3 times, but he had more receptions in 2021 than he had targets in 2022. That's a problem. Najee Harris has always been a dual threat runner. If you're not using half of his skill set, what are you doing? And now everybody's talking about his usage is going to go down. They're not going to use him. Okay, the Steelers are a smart organization. They have been for a really long time. That's why they stay successfully. They did not take a running back in the first round of the NFL draft to stop using him 3 years after that. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, especially a guy who has been productive in the NFL. It's not like he's been a bust. He was the RB3 his rookie year, had a down year last year, and he was still a top tier RB2. I think people need to buy the dip on Najee. I think he comes back up into the top 10. We didn't move him into the top 10 on our 2 up 1 down episode. At least I don't remember we did, but like, he's definitely a candidate to be a guy that moves from the or from the RB2 spot into the high end RB1 spot. And maybe I'm crazy, but like, that's just how I feel. I think the world is sleeping on Najee Harris after one mediocre season, and his mediocre wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, especially when you got to look at what kind of competition from young running backs there is, and it's really not that steep. So for people to be out on him, it's like, he's 25 years old. He's, not like super young, but he still has many years left in the tank, potentially 3 more on a rookie contract with Pittsburgh. I think, yeah, it's crazy to judge him off of that second year when that first year was so clearly who he was in an established offense. Just didn't see him in an established offense last year. So
exactly,
give him a little grace year, everybody. But if we're talking about grace years, shit, I guess I better go right now. And I'm wearing the
oh, there it is.
I don't get to wear my walk of shame shirts too often. I didn't break out the Trace sermon for this one, but
that would have been a
I
cool
got
one.
the yeah, it doesn't get a lot of airtime, but yeah, I'm going with Rashad Bateman. Everybody represent. If you're looking at where he went originally in our rookie draft, it was the 109. It was a good time for that. Keep trade cut. If you bear with me, I didn't get it ready. I'll tell you though, he will have a value for you of let's see, boom, boom, bada bing. Sorry, Christian. Sorry to do this in your face, buddy.
You're all good, man.
I assume he's got like a mid-second, right? A mid-second grade. Oh, he's still like a late first. Yeah, all right. He's still kind of got like a late first, early second grade to him, so it's not too much of a loss. But it feels like a loss if you've been rostering Rashad Bateman all these years. Because he's on the Ravens team that's it's purely run first. Lamar Jackson is a quarterback who is a running back who is a quarterback, and that whole Greg Roman themed offense was all about the ground game. If you watched last week, I talked a little bit about J.K. Dobbins, so this is shades of that, but I don't really want to talk about the run game. I'm going to talk about the pass game. And to do that, you got to look at what's changed in this team to make me optimistic. and it's everything. They went and got Zay Flowers at the
Mhm.
22nd pick. They went and got OBJ. I mean, fucking Odell Beckham Jr. Like that's a big splash.
Mhm.
Um, and then you got Rashad Bateman, who's missed so much time that it's just like we don't even know what to think of him as an NFL player. His rookie year, he got a 5 game delay due to some groin injuries. And then he came out and he played pretty well. It wasn't like spectacular or anything, but it wasn't anything that you could write any promise on.
Mhm.
But he comes back healthy in the second year, and through the first 3 weeks before he suffers a foot sprain, he's got 226 yards and 2 scores. So through 3 weeks, that's pretty solid. That would put him at a pace for like 1,250 yards and 11 scores over the entire year, which would have been incredible. Like
Mhm.
he hit the ground running. He's promising to deliver on all the hype. He himself was a first round NFL pick. And so he goes from like an A dot of a 9.6 his rookie year to 13.2 going
Damn.
in the second year. And it's like, oh shit, Hollywood Brown's gone. And so now he's opened up for that deep ball role. And it's very sexy. And so all these things, 1,200 yards, 11 score, deep ball, that's all great. And it works with last year's depth chart. But now you're talking about Zay Flowers, who I'm probably going to lean on more as a deep ball guy than Rashad Bateman, just from what I've seen
Mhm.
out of the
Yeah.
slot. But and then you got Odell Beckham Jr., who we all know is pretty solid. So it really comes down to what I think Rashad Bateman can really do. And I think that's fundamentals, man. He gets off the line great. We know he's got a great route tree. He's a good route runner. But I think that the reason he has success with Lamar Jackson and the reason Lamar Jackson calls him his wide receiver one is because of the way he catches the ball. He's a hands catcher that has no problem catching inaccurate passes outside of his frame. And
Mhm.
so I think if he can just stay healthy and consistently be on the field, he's going to be Lamar Jackson's number one target. And then once the ball's in his hand, I mean, he's got good footwork. He's elusive, the stop start. It's all the stuff that we've been talking about for years. We
Yeah.
just need him to be healthy and on the field to do it.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, but you do worry about the competition. And I've got to tell you, I'm not that scared of Odell Beckham Jr. Okay.
Mhm.
So he did pretty well with the Rams in that postseason run. He even had a 100-yard game in the NFC Championship game. But before that, if you're looking for a 100-yard game from OBJ, you have to go back to 2019's week 6.
Damn.
So that's a ways back. Yeah. And that was 2019 was actually his last 1,000-yard season as well.
Hmm.
But there is one more correlation with that 2019 season, and that's that Todd Monken
Mm.
was the offensive coordinator for the Browns that year.
Oh, gotcha.
So there's some familiarity there, but I don't think that off the ACL, missing a year and everything that we're going to be seeing high volume
Mhm.
OBJ. And then on the Todd Monken front, if you look at his history outside of that 2019, it's kind of a one and done year with the Browns. He had a good stint with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2016 through 2018. And in that time, he kept them as, a highly active passing offense with, James Winston. It's a little different than Lamar Jackson. He's not going to be running the ball so much, but he was
Mhm.
able to supply multiple players with triple digit targets in multiple years, including supplementing Cameron Brate. So keeping a tight end active while also having two relevant fantasy wide receivers. And I just see Rashad Bateman fitting in this offense as one of those guys. So he's being forgotten in a big way. And then there's some like underground activity of people interested in him. Leave me alone because he's not on the block. But I think that he can be healthy. He's coming off a Liz Frank injury on the foot, but if that's cleaned up, he stays on the field. I think he's a possession receiver in this offense, and he's going to be getting first downs and making No, yeah, basically, I just think, yep, super possession wide receiver getting first downs for Lamar Jackson and making him look like an MVP again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you and I, and AJ, we're all pretty high on Rashad Bateman coming out. The route running ability and just like that smooth style of play, we all really enjoy. And it'll be nice to see him. I want it to happen. I'm not convinced that it will. I'm a pretty big Zay Flowers guy. I've been trying to trade for him in a few different leagues. No success yet, but I do like him a lot. That's who I think might kind of end up taking it. But even if Bateman's not the guy this year, like I don't see OBJ hanging around there that long. So like this could even just be a way to help him get to that status. Um, so yeah, I think this is a big year for Bateman. If he comes out and looks good and gets some solid playing time, I'll feel really good about him.
Yeah, it's OBJ is on the 1 year, and then yeah, like I'm saying, man, if Bateman starts the year like he did last year, I mean, I think that Zay Flowers definitely could be the 1B, but I'm
Hmm.
looking for Rashad to be the 1A on this, just
Gotcha.
volume wise.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that is our two players. So we are gonna go ahead and get into this re-mocking or redrafting of the 2021 rookie class. So at the 1-1, I feel as though this is fairly obvious. Now, I guess should we preface, are we doing Superflex?
No, no,
No.
no, no.
So no Superflex, 2 rounds, 10-team draft.
Yep.
I think it's
Number
got to be
one,
Jamar Chase, right?
Jamar. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, the guy's been the wide receiver 5 in 2021, the wide receiver 12 in 2022, and he missed 4 games. And he was
Yeah.
the wide receiver 12. The dude's insane. He's only 23 years old. It
2 years, 2,500 yards,
doesn't make sense.
22 scores.
Yeah. Like that's all you
It's
need to
yeah,
say.
it's done. Yeah.
So the 1-2 is where things start to get interesting because there are some solid names in this class. It's a very top heavy class, but some solid names here. What do you think? Waddle?
Yeah. Jalen Waddle for
Jalen
sure.
Waddle?
Hmm.
Okay. So we're going wide receiver, flying in the face of typical for the belt drafts. So we're going Jalen Waddle at the 102. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. He was the wide receiver 8 last year. He was 13 his rookie year. Everything's trending up for him. He's on an explosive offense. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to match that production.
Yeah, and I was a little bummed. So Jamar went at 1-4 in our for the belt draft. And then Waddle, I was sitting there waiting for the pick to come in. And it took a while, and Waddle went right before I took Bateman.
Oof,
And
that's
so I was
tough.
like, oh man, what if? But for the number 3 spot, man, this is where it gets a little iffy for me. I
Mm-hmm.
was I'm I kind of want to stick with Najee,
Mm.
but I could argue Kyle
I think
Pitts.
those are the two for me as well. I I think I would personally go Pitts, but honestly, we could just say 3 and 4 are Pitts and Najee, and just like whatever order you want to go, because like that's where we're gonna go.
Okay,
I
I'll
just
do
think
Pitts up first and then Najee. So
Pitts being 22 years old is a lot to do with it.
yeah,
Najee's 25, for running backs that he's already 5 years away from the almost absolute cap of 30 if he doesn't drop out at 28. So, and then with Pitts, obviously he's 22, like he's still super young. He's got 8 years before he even turns 30, and Travis Kelce's 35 right now, and he's still out there crushing it. So like it's just different to me. So if I had to choose, I think I would go Pitts.
yeah, okay, I'm with you on that. And Pitts was the 1-2 in the original draft. Najee was the 101. So just a little
Gotcha.
little context on that.
So yeah, and then obviously, yeah, we know how big of a fan of Najee I am, as I already talked about it for quite a bit. So he'd be what, the 104 then, huh? In our
Yep.
reject, but like you said, the 101. So
Yep.
then at the 105, I think there's 2 names here.
Okay.
And
I'm with you.
I think it's Smith and Etienne, right?
Oh, okay. Let's just go with Etienne then.
Okay. I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Etienne. Okay.
Yep.
I yeah, Etienne has not kind of hit the ground running the way Najee did, but he did finish as the RB 17 last season after tearing his ACL his rookie year. So we could be looking for a pseudo sophomore burst out of Etienne this season.
hmm I gotta tell you, man. I want to put Trevor Lawrence over Smith.
Ooh, okay.
That's where I'm at right now. Is
Okay.
I'm feeling Trevor Lawrence.
All
Just
right.
I think
I
he's on the bubble. I think he's about to be a superstar.
Okay. I can concede that. We can go Trevor Lawrence, so that would be
He's
106, right?
Yep, he's the 106.
All right. So 105 was Etienne, followed by his teammate at the 106, Trevor Lawrence. So then I guess we go Devontae Smith, though, right?
Yep,
At
yep.
the 107. Yeah. Devontae Smith finished as the wide receiver 9 last season. He looked incredible as the complement to AJ Brown. Basically, the Eagles have 2 wide receiver ones. It's pretty crazy these days. Not much of an argument there. Now, this is where to me it gets super, super interesting. Because there's like 3 names right here.
Yeah,
Because you could go Amon Ra,
yeah. hmm
you could go Ramondre Stevenson
yep, yep.
as well. So I
Shit.
guess it's really only 2 names.
Yeah, yeah. There's kind of like I think yeah, we break through these two and then it really opens up. But
Okay.
I think I'm willing to mostly from just purely doubting him and being wrong 100%. I'm willing to give him on Raw the bump here. The
Yeah,
guy's got 196 catches through 2 years. Like
insane.
that's well over everybody else in this class, and he's just shown like pure heart and
Mm-hmm.
determination to be a badass on a squad that isn't really wasn't expected to produce this
Do
kind
that
of
much.
a yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
all
and
right.
he was definitely not a name that people were I mean, he was a second round pick. What like he I'm sure he was
Yeah,
somewhere in this
Monra was a 2-6.
yeah, the 2-6, and now we're taking him at the 8?
1-8, yeah.
Yep. And it makes
Yeah,
sense. He earned it.
absolutely. Fun facts.
Go
So
ahead.
like the top 7 guys from our redrafting the draft, they were all top 8 in the actual draft, just a
Okay.
slightly different order. So
Oh
so this
wow.
is our first this is our first big mover.
Yeah, and it's the biggest mover that we're probably gonna have. And Ramondre
Well,
Stevenson,
I don't know, but yeah, I was gonna say Ramondre Stevenson was the 312.
yeah, so coming from the 312 all the way up to the 109 is Ramondre. And again, we talked about him at the top of the episode, so I'm not going to rehash that, but I think sky's the limit for Ramondre there. And I think it's a good snag at the 109.
Absolutely it is. Um so yeah, after this, I feel like due respect feels like it has to be Justin Fields.
Oof, this is tough to me. I think I would still pound the table for Javante.
Okay,
I
okay.
think, I think I just, in a non super flex, I think Javante has a chance to come back and like be the guy, especially in a Sean Payton offense that likes to throw the ball to the running back. Like, I think he has a chance, and I think that's where I would go. But Fields, you're right. He looked so incredible last season. It'd be hard if you're feeling way stronger on Fields. Like, I'll let it slide. But the idea of Javante Williams not being a first round pick makes me a little sick to my stomach.
You know, I'm with you. I'm with you on Javante. I just I kind of spaced him.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he should have been in that last three-headed
Yeah, that I
monster
think that was the
conversation.
third name that I had in my head,
Mm,
and then I lost. So I kind of spaced him too. Arguably, I know it'd be tough. It would be disingenuous to say I would for sure put him over Ramondre. But like that
no,
would be tough to
no,
me still.
not
Like,
e- nope, no
that's
way.
fair.
Ramondre all the way. Maybe if he'd been healthy, but now with Sean
That's fair.
Payton and the
Hmm.
Samaje P. Ryan and everything we know, fucking let's ride,
Yeah,
all this
that's
shit.
fair.
You put a healthy Javante into New England system, and it probably would be,
Yeah,
probably
that's
would be
fair.
smoking. He'd probably be in the top three, but
Gotcha.
that ain't how it cracked out, man.
That's fair. All right, second round. So then I guess we go Justin Fields at the 2-1.
Okay.
Obviously ended up as the seventh overall QB last year. Most of that was down to rushing. But we've said it a bunch of times. We think the Bears are going to be quite a bit better this season. So, all right. So the 2-2. Oof. Um,
I got two names here.
okay.
I think we have to give Pat Fryermuth some love.
That would have been one of mine as well. And I think that's it in terms of consistency at his position. Yeah, I think he should be the 2-2. Seventh overall tight end last season, or sorry, eighth overall tight end last season, and 13th the year before that. I think he's going to benefit as well from that Steelers offense just being a little more productive. So I think he's a sneaky top 10 tight end or even top five potential that people aren't paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Are you ready to do the big one, the fireworks?
Let's do it.
You think Elijah Mitchell comes in
Ooh,
next?
really? No, I don't
No.
think so.
Okay.
Kadarius Tony or Rashad
Kadarius
Bateman.
Toney doesn't even have 600 yards
That's
in the
fair.
in the NFL.
But in terms
Uh,
of one, Mitchell is a backup. I
yeah,
guess, but we don't know that Tony's the starter. I mean, don't get it twisted. I love Elijah Mitchell. I'm down. Like, I think he's great. I think he has potential to still be productive. But I mean, Rashad Bateman, if we're talking about him
yeah,
being potential wide receiver one, I feel like he needs to go there.
yeah. It's close, man. I think Elijah Mitchell. I think there's enough protection of CMC for him to be a serviceable fantasy asset, and he's young,
All
so you
right.
never know what's going to happen. But
Woo!
I'd
Let's
put him
do
over.
it.
I'm putting him over Kadarius Toney, man, for
Let's
sure.
go. I love Elijah Mitchell. That's my boy.
Yeah, man, he should have wore that jersey. He knew
Oh
his
shit,
name
I
was
gotta run
coming
over.
up.
Oh, I did. I whiffed on that. That was a bad job.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, and then I'll give you Kadarius. I'll give you Kadarius.
Okay.
The 2-4 for sure. The potential is
Is there for sure.
disgustingly high.
Yeah.
Um, especially I don't know. I don't want to shit on the Giants too hard, but like the Chiefs system has to be so much more professional or
Yeah.
friendly to like a
Well,
wide receiver is a no man's land in New York, and it's he walks into this system and it's like if you fail, it's on you. You know
it's
what I
a hundred
mean?
percent on you. Yeah. I mean, Andy Reid's been perfecting this over decades of coaching. And it's the Giants, Brian Daboll's like second year as a head coach. No, he did great. Like, no offense to him. That's not meant as a slight, but like, yeah, Tony's walking into an offense that has been perfected over decades. Like, there's a chance that he blows up for sure.
Hell yeah. You won't
Um,
you willing to go Bateman?
I feel like we gotta go Bateman. I still like the talent here. I think there's two like wide receiver names here that make a lot of sense, and they were both Dan guys, and they both have potential this season. But Bateman, I think, makes sense.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. I gotta focus up, man. I gotta see. You trying to go TMJ in my face right now?
I'm not. I'm trying to go
Okay.
Elijah Moore.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Phew.
Yeah.
I was definitely a huge Elijah Moore
Yeah,
fan.
yeah. Yeah, I think Elijah Moore on the Browns. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I just think he has a chance to kind of blow up. I'm not championing this idea. Everybody thinks he has a chance to blow up with Deshaun Watson and with an improved offense. Watson kind of another year removed from being removed from football. So
I like that.
so we should see it work a lot better. And I would definitely be willing to take a swing on Elijah Moore at the 207 or whatever we're at.
Okay, I'm with it. It's 206.
206.
I'll give
Okay.
you that. You know what? We're setting ourselves up for redrafting this class next year and then making fun of ourselves for what we did right now. So
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
love that.
I
I
like
love
it.
the I love that. Okay, so I'm kind of in a really tough spot with some of this. Like we've got a lot of I'm just gonna throw some names out and then maybe you can do that too. And
Hmm.
so we can formulate something together. But we got Khalil Herbert,
Okay. Yep.
over 1100 rushing yards. He's catching a few balls, obviously looking good. I do think Rondell Moore is
Hmm.
probably got more of a career coming his way than I think is he's getting credit for right now. He's kind of a sleeper, definitely high potential this year. Um, we're going ahead, and I think Mac Jones is going to be a better pro than he's shown his first 2 years,
Okay.
especially with Bill O'Brien in the house. So I'm not going to exclude his name. Yeah,
Um,
TMJ. I don't know if you want to really get nasty with that.
Team J I had on my
Okay,
list, kind of on the back end of my list. The only names that you aren't mentioning, I've got Nico Collins on here.
okay, sure.
He's still in that class. We still like kind of want to figure out about him. CJ Stroud rolling into Houston, so that's interesting. I have Kenny Gainwell
Yeah,
as
of course.
well, kind of a back end guy. And then on a flyer, I still have Chris Evans on my radar as the like,
Oh wow.
but not in the second. He's just kind of there. Like
Okay.
he's a
No, you're
name,
good.
but like I don't know that he needs to be necessarily on there, but that was the name that I had.
What about Josh Palmer, a guy who's done it, 100 catches, 1100 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's doing a lot better than several of the wideouts we've been talking about here in the last few minutes.
That's true, but he did also just get eaten by his own team, going out and getting Quentin Johnston, and now
Hmm.
Keenan Allen's probably on the way ish out.
Yep.
So like he could step in and replace that. Yeah, I mean he needs to be in the conversation for sure, but I think he'd be more likely a third round pick than a second
Yeah, I'm
nowadays.
with you. Yeah, big out money on Williams and Keenan Allen next year. So okay, well, I think are you prepared to throw together 4 names here?
I think so. Yeah, we can do it.
Okay.
Um, Khalil.
Yeah, positional value. I'm going Khalil here.
Yep, I
Gotcha.
agree. Uh, we'll go Khalil Herbert, and then oof. I'm not the biggest Moore fan, Rondale Moore, but like I'm with you that he might be getting overlooked, especially like DeAndre Hopkins leaves that team. We don't really know what Arizona's going to be now, so I could go more there. I think after that.
Okay. Okay. I'm willing to go Nico Collins at the 2-9.
Okay, yeah, I'm good with that. And then honestly, just to have a little fun with it, we could go Terrace Marshall because then we're just going two rookie quarterback flyers at the end of the second round there, and Nico Collins with CJ Stroud and Terrace Marshall Jr. with Bryce Young. So
I'm with that. Yeah, kind of leaving Kenny Gainwell and Josh Palmer as the guys on the outside looking in that could make us look like we're a little foolish. But
yeah, for sure. Those are definitely the two guys. I mean, Josh Palmer probably more likely to do that. I think Kenny Gainwell's such a good little player. I just don't know that he'll be like a fantasy crazy asset ever. But he could, new running back room entirely over there in Philly. So
yeah, both those
you never
guys are
know.
drowning in depth charts. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, all
okay,
right.
well,
Go ahead.
I don't know if it's even worth it, but I'll read it real fast.
Let's do it.
All right, so we went Chase, Waddle, Pitts, Najee, Etienne as the top 5. And then it went Lawrence, Smith, St. Brown, Stevenson, Javonte Williams for 6 through 10, Justin Fields, Fryermuth, Elijah Mitchell, Tony, and Bateman, 2-1 through the 2-5. and then we ended up with Elijah Moore, Khalil Herbert, Rondell Moore, Nico Collins, TMJ, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped keeping track of the original draft positions, but I think it's feisty, man. I think it's pretty cool. I'm with it. I had fun doing that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That was our first ever redraft. So, any comments, any suggestions for how to maybe make it a little better? If you guys liked it, let us know. Definitely let us know about anything if you like it or you hate it. Honestly, hate, let us know more about that. That's always fun.
I do enjoy feedback, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. We anything you guys want to say, we're gonna try to get more out on social media. That's kind of where I've been slacking, but we've been catching up, and I think we're ready to start hitting that pretty hard. But until then, what are we getting into next week, Dan?
Oh man, just move it up another segment, man. We're getting into the 2022 class.
Right.
Oh shit, we're gonna redraft the 2022 class.
We can. Definitely
Yeah, just
can.
come back and find out.
All right. Well, until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.